morning, gardeners. Welcome back to my channel. So I just want to take a moment to thank all of you because I just hit 20,000 subscribers and I honestly can't believe it. I'm so thankful and grateful for all of you guys who support me. It honestly means the world. When I started this channel, I didn't expect anyone to watch it at all, to be completely honest. I did not plan on becoming a YouTuber whatsoever. But it's kind of turned into the most beautiful thing ever, and I just made so many friends through it, and I just can't thank you guys for your support enough. It just means everything to me. Just knowing that I've been able to help some of you guys out just means so much to me. So just thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're new to my channel, welcome, and I hope that you enjoy the ride. So in today's video, I will be joined by Banba, my veiled chameleon. I think he's actually different colors on each side right now, so that's pretty cool. So in today's video, I wanted to go over a subject that I kind of touched on in the last video, and I basically talked about anthropomorphism. So if you aren't really sure what that means and you want a better explanation, please check out my previous video. I will put the link in my description so that way you guys can check it out. If you already saw it and you know what the word means, then I'm just going to continue. I just didn't want the last video to be a really long rant. So in the last video, I touched upon anthropomorphism, which is when people put human-like qualities onto their pets, such as feelings and emotions. So this can have some negative effects, and that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm going to be talking about the dangers of anthropomorphism. It's not always a negative thing. People anthropomorphize their animals all the time, and it doesn't have any effect on them in a negative way, such as like saying that your animal is excited to see you or saying that they love you. Obviously, that's anthropomorphism, but that isn't a negative thing that's going to harm your animal. There are some situations, though, that can cause harm to your animal. So I'm just going to run through some examples on how anthropomorphism can actually affect your animals in a negative way and possibly harm them. So one example of anthropomorphism that is actually done all of the time, I think I touched upon it a little bit in the last video, but in this example, it's when people think that their reptiles are lonely and they need friends. So this can actually be very negative for your animals and can cause harm to them because reptiles are for the most part solitary animals, meaning that they just want to be alone. And again, want is anthropomorphism, but they survive by being alone. So that's pretty much what they do. It makes them solitary animals. By cohabitating animals, meaning you're going to put more than one animal in the same enclosure, it actually causes a lot of stress for the animal, which is bad for their health and well-being. There can also be a danger risk because the animals may compete for territory or food or basking places, and they can really harm one another in that process of just determining who is dominant and who's going to win the territory. Some people also think that their animals like to cuddle each other. A lot of people see this with leopard geckos because a lot of people cohabitate their leopard geckos. And that's also a form of dominance on the other animal. And it's also a competition for warmth in the hide. So it's just not a very positive thing. People may perceive it as being cute, and that's anthropomorphizing the situation because the animals themselves don't see that situation as being cute and cuddly. They're actually just trying to survive, and it's causing them a lot of stress in that situation. So that's something where humans can put their feelings and emotions into a situation where their animals may not be thriving. Something else that I've seen that can be pretty dangerous is when people think that their animals like to travel. So some reptiles are obviously great with handling, whereas others are not so great with handling. Bearded dragons are one of the reptiles that are very commonly known to be very laid back and tolerate handling very well. And because of that, a lot of people think, well, I should take my reptile outside and on adventures because they like it and they're chill. That's not always the situation though. And again, every animal has its own personality. And I too do bring my bearded dragon outside sometimes because it can be beneficial for them to get that natural sunlight. But when it comes to taking your animal outside, you need to be very cautious because there are dangers such as other predators around if you aren't watching your animal. You don't want them eating anything with pesticides on it. And you also don't want to overdo it and keep them out for a very extended amount of time because it can cause them stress. I have literally seen people take like their chameleon to like the gym with them and do crazy things and bring their reptiles around a ton of other people because they think it's cool. They want to show other people. Some people like to scare people with their reptiles because they think it's funny. And this is absolutely so wrong and dangerous for your animal, because if you have an animal that you're bringing around a lot of other people and germs, and not only just germs, but honestly, if you're bringing them around a ton of other people and there may be someone that's uncomfortable with reptiles and you're like forcing your animal on them, they could injure your animal by slapping it away or something. And you don't want that to happen. It's just really stressful, that entire situation for the animal. And it's also very dangerous. So it's important to realize that these animals are not humans. We cannot put our feelings and emotions on them and think that they like to travel. And you just need to be aware that they are living reptiles, they're animals, they have needs, and we need to make sure that we're taking care of them in the most responsible way possible. And I do want to touch upon, like, some animals are better to take out than others. Chameleons, like Banba here, he actually tolerates handling very well, but I don't keep him out for very long because it can cause stress to him. It is nice to give him a little bit of sun every now and then, but for the most part, chameleons don't really like handling. So if you have a chameleon that doesn't tolerate the handling well, then you absolutely shouldn't be taking it out for extended amounts of time. Another animal like a crested gecko, if it's hot outside, you don't want to take a crested gecko outside when it's hot because they do better at room temperature. So it's just little things like that. You need to always keep in mind the animal and its care and how it should be maintained, and make sure that you're executing that properly and not putting them in dangerous situations. Another situation that I have seen with anthropomorphism is probably something that you guys have all seen. It's like a viral video of a chameleon playing with bubbles. Some people like to do stuff like this with their reptiles. They think that their reptiles like to play with things, and that is another situation of anthropomorphism that can lead to your animal being harmed, stressed out, and it's just dangerous for the animal altogether. So in that situation in particular, where the chameleon is reaching out and trying to grab bubbles, people think that it's cute and it's playing and it's trying to pop the bubbles. That chameleon is not thinking like that whatsoever. It's not a human. It does not have those thoughts. It's reaching out and it's trying to grab onto something to get away in order to feel safe and secure. So that type of a situation is actually very stressful for the chameleon. So that's something where humans can kind of put their feelings on their animals and then kind of mistreat them when they don't intend to be doing that. There are no reptiles that enjoy playing. It's not something that they do in the wild, and it's not something that they're going to do in captivity either. So another one is that reptiles like human food. So this is a complete disaster, and I mean, you guys already know where I'm going with this. Reptiles have very specific diets that need to be maintained in captivity. You cannot be giving them human food. Just don't do it. Unless it's like greens or something that is okay that humans can also eat, then obviously you can feed them that. I'm talking about the situations. I've literally gotten messages where someone was like, hey, I like to feed my turtle hot dogs. He likes them. And I didn't even know how to respond to that. My friend has gotten messages too where someone said their bearded dragon likes mac and cheese. So this is a complete disaster. Like, some of the worst messages I've ever received. So this is completely anthropomorphizing the situation as well. Because we like certain foods, we assume that our animals like certain foods. And they think that if your animal's eating it, then obviously they like it, so it can be good for them. And that's not true whatsoever. Reptiles are opportunistic eaters. In the wild, they try to look for food and they will eat whatever they can get. So it's going to be very similar in captivity. So if you are offering something like a hot dog or macaroni and cheese, which I don't even know why you would think to do that in the first place, but some people do it, and they see that their animal actually eats it, so they assume that they enjoy it. These are just horrible situations. Those animals should not have those foods in their diet whatsoever. It's extremely unhealthy, and just because they're eating it does not mean that they're enjoying it or liking it, and it can actually make them very sick or actually kill them. So it's very important to obviously make sure you're looking up your animal's diet and don't give them food that you like because you like it, so they must like it, because that logic is just does not make any sense. Another situation where I've seen this a lot, it also happens with ducks. So if people see wild ducks or turtles in a pond, they throw bread in the water. I don't understand how this became a thing because bread is not in any animal's diet whatsoever. They should not be eating that, and it's not good for them. So that's another situation where I don't know. I feel like that's more of just like a tradition where people think, okay, I'm going to feed this animal bread because that's what they eat. They don't eat bread. Just stop feeding animals bread, please. That is just one of my pet peeves of life. Just stop feeding them bread. It's not what they eat. So the last one I want to cover is, again, cuddling. I covered it with other reptiles, but people assume that their animals like to cuddle with them. That can have a negative effect in certain situations. So this depends on the reptile that you have. So if you have a bearded dragon or like a ball python, we know that those animals like to stay still. Again, anthropomorphism. But those animals are usually calm and chill, and they will sit on you, and it may be perceived to humans as they are cuddling with us, because who doesn't want to think your animal is cuddling with you? It just makes it more enjoyable. And it can be beneficial for your animal because they are absorbing your warmth. So that can be a good thing for them, but you want to make sure, again, that you're not doing it for an excessive amount of time just to not lead to any stress. Another situation, again, I'm going to use crested geckos because I've seen this a lot. People think that their crested geckos like to cuddle with them because some of them are very chill and will sit in one place. So again, this type of animal requires a temperature that is room temperature, so usually in the 70s. Human bodies are 98 degrees, so they should not be on you for a long time because they can actually overheat, and that's very bad for your animal. So do not cuddle with your crested geckos. If you're going to handle them, you can take them out for a short amount of time in your hands, but even doing that, they can overheat, and that's when they start to get really jumpy. So that's just not the type of animal to cuddle with. So those are just some of the situations that I see all of the time where anthropomorphizing the situation with reptiles can lead to potential dangers or your animal being harmed or stressed out. So these are just things to avoid. I know that it's so much fun to anthropomorphize your animals and be like, oh, they love us, they want to cuddle us. But we just have to be mindful that these are living creatures that have very specific needs when it comes to survival. And we are their caretakers, and we need to make sure that we are giving them everything that they need and not putting them in any dangerous situations based on our own feelings and emotions and putting those on our animals. So if you notice someone doing any of this, please reach out to them. Again, don't be rude or anything because no one likes that. No one likes a bully, but just educating people and letting them know, like, this could be potentially harmful for your animal, and I know you don't want to hurt them, so I'm just trying to help you out. Just be kind. I just want more people to understand and start putting their animals' needs before their own, because a lot of the times we just enjoy our animals so much that we can be a little bit selfish with them, and we need to realize at the end of the day that these are animals that we are taking care of, and we shouldn't put them in stressful situations. So again, thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you so much for everyone that has subscribed to my channel. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next video.